Broke is not a condition of the wallet, it is a condition of the mind. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in a place in your life where you know you want more, you're sick of playing it small, staying in your comfort zone, but you keep repeating the same poor result year after year, then I have some confronting news for you. Oftentimes, we are our own worst enemy. We self-sabotage without knowing. Our desires and our actions are on two different pages. And in those moments where we have the opportunity to take leaps and bounds forward in progressing our life, our subconscious keeps us trapped in mediocrity as we remain in our comfort zone. But the good news is when we're stuck in this negative feedback loop, there's one thing that can save us: awareness. And so today's video is all about making you aware of the truth. Breaking down the 3 behaviors and beliefs that broke-minded people do without knowing that it's keeping them poor. And showing you in a very practical sense how poor people perceive the world and how rich people perceive the world. And so if you want to stay poor and keep repeating the shit cycle every single year, then keep believing these things, keep behaving this way. Now this list is either going to validate you that you're doing the opposite of these things and you're on the right track, or it's going to challenge you. And I want to give fair warning here. If any of these get under your skin and it rubs you the wrong way, it's probably because you either believe these things or you're doing them. And you can either cry about it or you can challenge yourself. And so I want to share these with you in the hope that it turns some of you watching into winners, that you're able to rewire your brain to think like the affluent person that you want to become. I'm speaking to the younger version of myself who was hungry for a better life, hungry to be a better man, the me who needed to be validated that he was on the right path, but also be called out on some of his bullshit. And I found the more that I challenged myself and my beliefs, the more successful I got. So use this video to identify if you're carrying any of these Brokie beliefs, shed it from your character, stay the course, and earn the life of success that you want. So without further ado, let me dive straight into it. Brokie belief number 1, expecting success to come easily and without sacrifice. This sounds like a no-brainer, but you wouldn't believe how many Brokie-minded people feel entitled to success just because they want it better than anyone else. Another way to explain this is people who say they want it all, the riches, the millions and the billions, but are not willing to sacrifice anything in order to get it. The reality is there is no shortage of people who want it all, only a shortage of those who are willing to do the work and put their money where their mouth is. And to best illustrate this, I want to explain the universe test. Now, whether you believe in God or the universe, it doesn't matter. It's going to apply to this either way. But imagine you are the universe for a second, and you're looking down at 8 billion people, all of whom want a better life. 100% of people want a better life. No one's going to sit there and say, yeah, you know what? I want my life to get worse. Everyone wants a better life. But if you're the universe, how do you decide who gets it? Because if you give everyone millions and billions, then no one really has it, do they? Then it's not special anymore. Then it's not actually valuable, right? If everyone has this better life, then no one does. And so how do you decide who gets the life of success? You put everyone through a test. And whoever passes the test can earn the life of their dreams. Everyone on earth who says they want it will get an opportunity to prove to the universe, to prove to God that they are worthy of success. And so what is this test? It almost always shares this one core characteristic. You have to sacrifice that which is most important to you. Now, when I say this, most Brokies think of some David Goggins YouTube motivational video about putting in extra hours and bleeding from your eyes and putting in hard work. No, that is the base level prerequisite. If you can't put in hard work and dedicate your time, then you have bigger problems to worry about. But what poor people don't understand is their time, their effort is worth nothing.
What did you just say to me?
All you have is time and effort and energy. It's not valuable if it's in abundance. And so when Brokie people say that, oh, I'm going to sacrifice my time, I'm going to work hard. Yeah, duh, that's all you can do. That's not special. That doesn't make you worthy of success. No, you have to sacrifice the thing that is most precious to you. Now, if you don't believe me, I want to use another example that almost everyone would know. Thanos. When Thanos was on his mission to get all of the Infinity Stones, the Soul Stone was the hardest one to get. Why? Because to get the Soul Stone, he had to sacrifice the one thing that was most precious to him in the whole world, Gamora. He couldn't sacrifice his army or his power or anything he had an abundance of. The only way the Soul Stone knew that he was worthy of success, worthy to attain it, was if he sacrificed the one thing most precious to him. And it's the same way for broke people. If you say that you want it all, you want the better life, you will have a choice to make. For you to pass that test, become the person who is capable of achieving your dreams, get the skills, get the business, you will have to sacrifice. And this is where so many poor-minded people go wrong and they stay poor, is because they expect that it shouldn't be this hard. You shouldn't have to sacrifice. I have a newsflash for you. This is why it's called the 1% for a reason. It's not called the 2% or even the 10%. It's called the 1% because only 1% of people are willing to not only sacrifice their time, their energy, their friends, their family, but also their finances, no matter how limited it is. Meanwhile, the other 99% of people are hyped up about the new PlayStation, some bullshit for their car. Now, personally, I am no stranger to having to put my money where my mouth is. Back when I had nothing, I would do whatever it took to be able to afford some kind of mentorship. Whether it was on a payment plan, I would sell everything. In the middle of summer, I remember selling my air conditioner to the local pawn shop. I was a cleaner scrubbing toilets. I remember having to clean up wet cat shit in a vacuum. And it smelled the entire apartment that I had to clean. But I did whatever it goddamn took to put myself in a position where I could earn the life that I wanted. To date, I've invested more than $50,000 in courses and mentorships just in the last 4 years alone. On top of that, just last year, I spent $70,000 actually implementing the shit that I had paid to learn. Name me one person who's gone on to live the life that you want to live who has not had to sacrifice a thing. There's no one. And you know what I found? The more I sacrificed and the more I invested, the closer I got to my dream life. I am now, praise God, living the life that old me could only dream of. In fact, I never ever thought that I'd be living this life. Living in Thailand for almost a year now, completely free, no boss breathing down my neck, in an unbelievable apartment that I never ever thought I'd be able to get my hands on. And that's just scratching the surface. But I had to put my money where my mouth was. I wasn't just a dreamer. I wasn't a wantrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur. If you are willing to sacrifice that which is most important to you, you will win. Why? Because 99% of other people are not willing to do that. That may have been a hard-hitting one for most of you guys. This next one is going to really shift your perspective. Brokie belief number 2 is that pain and discomfort are bad and they must be avoided. This is a belief that is passed down to us from our friends, our family, our environment. In all fairness, this is a perfectly normal response. If you have an uncomfortable feeling, run. It's typical fight or flight. But this was effective when we were hunters and gatherers, when we were on edge, where the slightest feeling of unease could mean literally life or death. And unfortunately, that fight or flight reaction has passed its way down through generation to generation to end up here with you and I. The difference between poor people and rich people is that rich people have the ability to shut down that part of their brain that says run. Whereas poor people will run away from perceived danger when asked to do something scary or uncomfortable. Why is this? Why do two people react differently to the same situation? Because the same situation means a different thing to each person. We'll use the same analogy again when both people are being asked to invest in moving their business forward, right? It's a very common experience for most entrepreneurs who need to get new skills, who need to get new systems to drive their business forward. A poor person will get scared by the financial decision because they are not willing to risk their current livelihood in order to get their dream life. Whereas rich people are not willing to risk the possibility that their dream life could not become a reality, and so they are more than happy to sacrifice their current way of living in order to get their dream life. I know this intimately. Early on in my entrepreneur journey, I made a lot of money and I invested it all into dropshipping and lost everything. And so for me, I had to get back to the drawing board. So I went back to working a 9 to 5, and after 8-9 months, I was able to save up around $13,000. I was then presented with the opportunity to invest $10,000 to get the new systems and the new skills that I needed to build the business that I wanted. I tried to get bank loans. I looked everywhere. It was a month too long process. Nothing was working. I was selling everything I had. I moved to a totally different city in the middle of nowhere so I could save money. I said goodbye to my friends, my family, everything. And when all the bank loans didn't come through, I maxed out all my credit cards and pulled the trigger. After everything was said and done, I was left with a couple grand in my account, and after a month or two, I was down to $652. And on that day, on my last leg of life, it all came together. With the new business, I made $15,000 within 16 days, and I was back on top. I put myself in the most painful, the most uncomfortable situation ever in order to get my dreams, whereas most people wouldn't be able to part ways with $500 to invest in the skills that would actually change their life. The reality is, if you continue to stay in your comfort zone, remain the same person, reject change, and avoid anything uncomfortable, then you'll continue to get the same results that current version of you is capable of getting, stuck in your comfort zone. But unfortunately, too many broke-minded people believe that they shouldn't have to put themselves in a risky situation in order to gain this big goal that is bigger than anything they've ever achieved in their life before. They believe it's entirely possible to get there being the same person that they are. And that is simply bullshit. You cannot take your current mindset and the current results you generate and the current life that you live and expect to achieve your dream life being the same person. In order to achieve the biggest dreams in our life, we must become that version of ourselves who is capable, who is willing, who is able to embrace the challenge, bet on themselves. So rewire your brain to say that you are not willing to sacrifice your dream life and you are more than happy to give up your current livelihood in order to get it. That is the kind of sacrifice that makes you worthy in the universe's eyes, that makes you worthy in God's eyes to have the success that you want. And capping it off at Brokie belief number 3, it's better to wait for the perfect time before starting anything. I've heard it all before. I'm not ready now. This is coming up. I just want to wait for this to be right. You will never be ready. That's the secret. That's the reality. You will never be ready. It's either get ready or be ready. And here's the paradox of it all. If you wait for the perfect conditions to be successful, the moment those conditions change, now you can't be successful anymore, right? To put it into perspective, who do you think will last longer and be more successful? The entrepreneur who learns to weather every storm, stays resilient, and proves that they can outlast any challenge? Or the entrepreneur, the dreamer, who waits for the perfect conditions? As the saying goes, calm waters don't make skilled sailors. Because when you can prove to be successful when things get bad, and they always do, then you can still remain successful because you've learned how to do so when things were shit, and it's only uphill from here. There is never the right time to start. Life will get in the way. There is only learning to prioritize what matters most. And if you aren't sold out on achieving your dream life come hell or high water, then you'll never make it in the first place. So the question is, are you going to sit on the porch for 5 years waiting for the clouds to part? Or are you going to put on a fucking raincoat and just start walking? It's either wait or raincoat. Because I tell you what, in that situation, only one person dies with their dream still unachieved. So if you want to rewire your brain for success, don't wait. Learn to prioritize. You have more capacity than you think. The moment you start to take steps toward the thing that actually matters most, the rest of your life falls in line. But if you're always chasing your tail, never pursuing the one thing that actually matters, then you'll still be in the same situation next year and the year after. Something has to change. And coming back to all the points we just mentioned, it's usually because you're refusing to get outside of your comfort zone. Embrace the difficult challenges. Embrace the risk. Bet it all on you. That's the only thing that'll force you under stress to become the person who you've always wanted to be, who can achieve the life of your dreams. So guys, I hope that helped. I hope it gave you a new perspective of what is required to be successful as an entrepreneur. I hope for the winners out there that this has challenged you, it's motivated you to take a look on the inside and see where your desires and your actions are not on the same page so that you can get them on the same page. If this was helpful to you guys, drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below what stood out to you most, what you're challenged on, and I would love to touch base with one of you very soon over a one-on-one coaching call completely for free. Thanks so much, guys.